Welcome to the Solopreneur Academy Podcast. This is a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to make more impact and income in less time. I'm your host, Megan, and throughout each episode, you'll learn how to create the lifestyle and legacy you want as you grow. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to the Solopreneur Academy Podcast. This episode is going to be all about creating a mini course. Now, I'm going to give you my philosophy, of course, around creating courses. Pun intended. Then I'm going to talk with you about how to set things up. Then I'm going to talk with you about the content you should be putting inside the course, and then also talking to you about how to take that course and use it to bring in more clients for you as your offer grows. So before also I get into this, of course, I have a freebie about creating mini courses. But another thing that I'm doing is I have a course called Content to Consult. It's $9.99, I believe right now. It might be $19.99 by the time that you listen to this podcast. But I'm going to include a link for that because I think it would be helpful for you to see an example of what a successful course looks like. I've had at least 10, and I really haven't even promoted this course much. It's more so something that I was creating to make sure I would have a buffer between me and my maternity leave. I made it last year and I had a bunch of people sign up from it. And from the people who signed up from it, 10 upgraded to my low ticket offer foundation, and 2 people upgraded from foundation to my mastermind. So it's a great course that really gives you just simplicity around making content turn into consults, but it also is something that I think would be helpful for you to see how I do upsells and things like that. So if you want to join and get in that course, make sure you look at the show notes. And if you want my freebie about making mini courses, definitely check out the show notes. Now, really quick, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. If you have not signed enough clients to be fully booked and you want to get fully booked and make money the fastest with your business, I would highly recommend doing your promotions for anything that you do on your social media, on your email list, everywhere that you are, about booking a consultation. The only reason why you would want to add a little thing in between people's booking a consultation and actually working with you, or booking a consultation, seeing your content and booking a consultation, would be if you're fully booked. The only kind of like mini instances where I say that it's okay to kind of include this, a freebie or a mini course as another thing that people can opt in on and sign up for, is if you're doing something like an in-person speaking engagement and you want people to opt in sooner, you can do a freebie or a mini course, and that can be really helpful. And the other thing that you can do is you can go in and create and then this mini course can be another example of a way to do that. So a freebie is something that you do that is like a quick template. I did a whole podcast about it in episode 112, but a mini course is like a paid opt-in. It's a small transformation that you're going to be creating for people ahead of time, and you can even have people pay for it. So that is what I'm going to be explaining in today's podcast. I just want to give this disclaimer ahead of time in case you're like, Megan, do I need to create a mini course right now? I haven't signed a client. Please just focus on getting people to book consults. That would be my preference for you, so you can start getting paid in droves a lot faster. The courses that I'm going to be talking to you about are extremely low ticket, which means that they are between $5 and $40. They are very minimal cost. So if you're going to do all this work to get people to pay you, I would much rather than pay you thousands of dollars to work with you one-on-one versus picking up pennies for something like a mini course. And that's my just disclaimer before we get into this episode. But with that being said, there are times when you are fully booked that you do want to include something like a mini course. So let's talk about how to set up a mini course and the kind of things that you're going to need to do as just a prerequisite for even making the content for said mini course. You're going to need to create for you all a place where the information for said course is housed. So, the things that I have done when I've created mini courses, if you want something that is, again, I'm all about like the cheap and cheerful way to build your business. Google Classroom is free. You can put videos, you can put worksheets. There's a lot of things that you can get within Google Classroom. And that's what I typically tell my clients to utilize because then you don't have to pay for a hosting platform. You can also host things for a course within YouTube by making the videos private or unlisted. That can give you access to putting your videos in a place that's housed, that's easily accessible, but it also doesn't require you to pay for a separate hosting platform. You can also put your videos in Google Drive and have people access things from your videos and worksheets from there. That's what you can do. You just need to decide first and foremost what kind of platform would be the easiest for you to use. Now, if you are already paying for a platform like Go High Level, I utilize that a derivative of that. It's called white labeled, which is a lot of fancy terms just to say like if you were to white label Google and call it Megal, like Megan's Google, you are taking the tech from a platform and you're putting your name on it. So I use a white labeled, which is just like same tech, different name version of Go High Level called FG Funnels. That is what I use. There's things like Thinkific, School, Kajabi, not Klarna, Circle. Those are all different hosting platforms you might have heard of or even have access to. So if you have something like that already, throw your course in there. Now, I like to say that we want to make this a mini course. We want this to be something that is very simple, something that's easy for people to do, but you need to decide where you're going to host these things first. The second thing that you want to decide is how much we're going to have people pay. You want to make a mini course. I would recommend making your mini course something that's paid, so it's just a difference than a freebie. And you want to choose something that is a no-brainer for people to sign up for, something that is a quick credit card swipe that they really aren't thinking too much about. They're just getting started and growing. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about, okay, what would be a no-brainer for somebody? It could be anywhere from $5 even up to like I would say $40. I wouldn't go beyond $40. But you want to be thinking about what would be something that's a quick credit card swipe, something that people can utilize. And then of course, you need to choose how you're going to process that payment. That is again, the reason why I'm saying that like this is something that's for after you get fully booked is as you can tell already, there are a fair amount of steps in order to make a mini course before you even get into the mini course itself. So what you want to do is you're going to have to figure out, okay, what is the price point of this? Choose that first. And then also give some reasons why it's a no-brainer price point for your person, why it would be something that would be a really just a win-win for them and over deliver for such a small price point. And then you need to determine when they pay you how they're going to get the course materials delivered. This isn't something that they're going to get in real time. This is going to be something that they get with when they make the payment. So you have to have some sort of automation, which again can be technical and tricky, which is why we've got good old Google, YouTube, and AI to help you. But that is what you want to be figuring out. When can I and how can I go through and make sure that if somebody pays me, they get the course? Again, whether the course is in Google Classroom and they just get an email that says, great, you're in for the course. Use this link to sign up for the Google Classroom and get all of your things delivered. Then they can log in and get access to everything and be good to go. But you want to be thinking about like How you're going to do that, you can have a form for people to fill out, pay you, and then get that course through an automation. That means that you have to have it set up so that people can get the actual course itself quickly. The thing that you want to keep in mind is that sometimes these automations can break. So you might also have to have a little bit of tech support. You might need to set aside some time to make sure that the automation isn't doing the wrong thing. And you want to test this before you send this out to people. I have had times where we thought that we tested it and we totally didn't. And I had a lot of people say, I don't have access to this. We need this. And you don't want to be in that situation. You want to make sure that you test it ahead of time. Now, if you get into a situation where people are like, we aren't getting the materials ahead of time, don't beat yourself up for it. Just fix it and move forward because the compounding results of the shame spiral will never support you. So you want to make sure you do that ahead of time. So now that you've got the platform, your price, and the automation set up and ready to go, what the heck do you actually put in this course? You want to be thinking about what is something that is a tangible, tactical, simple thing for people to do that you can put in this course ahead of time. So for me, when I was thinking about creating a course, I thought about what would move the needle the fastest. What is something similar to the freebie, but what is something that is very easily implemented that somebody could see a result within a short time period? Now, with the freebie, we want to keep it within that like 15 minutes to an hour kind of time frame. A course can be a little bit more in depth. This can be something that can take them at like an hour to like listen to and understand. And I want you to think about, okay, what is a very powerful transformation that shows people the value of working with me so that then they can get that value, say, wow, working with Megan is stupendous. I definitely need to pay her more for this. So I want you to think about what does that look like for you? Okay. So for you, I want you to think about what is something that you can quickly teach and something that people can quickly implement to get that tiny transformation that proves that what you do is worth it, it's valuable, and then move them forward. So for me, I was like, you know what? So many people in my audience struggle with social media. They say that social media takes them so much time. I have a lot of proof that social media used to take me like 6 hours per post, and now it takes me 60 minutes a week at most. So I want to showcase that as an example of working with me to be like, oh, when you work with me, I make things simple, easy, and doable. You should totally get in for some more. So that's what you want to do with your people too. You want to be thinking about, okay, what is something that is a tiny transformation that is very easy, simple, and doable? And then you want to be talking about that within your posts or within your course. So once you have this, you want to be thinking about, okay, what can I do to make sure they understand the information about this course quickly? So for you, I'm a teacher by trade. Obviously, I taught for 6 years, national board certified and all. So when you're thinking, for me personally, I wanted to include some videos and templates for people to make sure it was effective. I have found that implementation and education is a very critical part about a course's success. The last part is the support, which they won't get with this course, but they can always ask you and email you questions. So you want to go through, and I want you to think about what is the fastest thing that somebody could do to implement when they're working with you, and how can that lead them to show them that you can create more when you work with me? So go through, think about whether it's something you've done with people for free, something that you've done with people for pay, And I want you to break it down into very simple steps. So you can probably think of like a lot of things that you have that are in your repertoire that are really useful and valuable things that you do with your clients. But I just want you to choose one for this mini course. And I want you to break it down into very, very, very simple steps. For instance, if you download content to consults, I have an intro video. I have a video about the first kind of post I want you to do every week, the second post for the that you do every week, the third post of the week, then a recap of all three posts that you do every week to build know, like, and trust, and then a way for people to work with me. So it's only 5 steps and it makes it really, really simple for people to follow along and actually implement. That's what you want to do for your course as well. You want to make it very simple, very structured, something that they could do very quickly. So that then they're like, oh wow, when I understand that like just doing these quick, simple things is going to be insanely effective and helpful. So you want to break it down into simple, easy, doable steps. And then you want to have the option for you want to be seeding, working with you, seeding meaning talking about what you do in every single step if you include videos. So you want to be talking about, for me, I was like, I use content to consults to sell 5 figure foundation. So I talked about that program working with me throughout every single video. Now, at the time that I recorded content to consults, I actually used to call 5 figure foundation marketing systems. So we actually had to take it out of the videos. We had to, I had somebody actually professionally go through and like edit it out. So that's what's in there now. But I did see that throughout the program, and they just literally took out the words marketing systems and have it nothing, say nothing. It says like, working with me in my program. And then we have emails to upsell people. So again, you got to choose your platform, you got to choose your price point, you got to choose how they're going to get the information. Then you have to choose what you're going to say to create this mini transformation for them. Make sure you test it out. And one of the things that I would say is like with the freebie and things like that, test it out with friends and family and be like, does this make sense to you? Does this actually like sound like something that you would want to buy? And make sure that there is an obviously like my husband is not a business owner yet. He will be, but my husband is not a business owner. So I like if he's like, well, I don't understand this like small nuanced part of it, then we just give them context to be like, okay, but if you were in this situation, would this actually still be helpful for you? But you want to test it out. You want to make sure that it actually is something that is implementable, easy to do, easy enough to do that like someone without a lot of context could get it. And then you want to think about how you're going to upsell them. So for content to consults, if you download it right now using the show notes, not only are you going to get the course, but you're going to get, I think it is just like with the freebie, it should be 3 emails to sell you into 5 figure foundation from that course. So you get the course, you get the access. I put mine on FG funnels, which is the derivative of Go High Level. And for me, I have that in there. We've got the automation going. And then once people buy, we then upsell them to join 5 figure foundation. We send these emails once a day. You can do it sooner, but I wouldn't recommend doing it like weeks apart. You know, it's like they just bought this course, they paid you. You want to create some sort of connection with them and you want to be able to get them to upsell. So the first email that you send after you make the course says, hey, here's your course. This is why it's so important. The second email goes in and says, hey, I know that course was helpful for you. Here's a bigger picture of why this course is so important. So for me, and then the third email, just to finish that out, and then I'll give you examples. The third email needs to say, here's a testimonial of something that the course helped and working with me helped, make sure you sign up for a consult or the next step in here. So for my first email from content to consults, I say, hey, here's content to consults. If social media is something that you've been struggling with, I know this is going to support you. Make sure, email me if you have any questions about it. P.S. Social media is just the beginning of making sure you sign your first or next client this month. That is what my program, Five Figure Foundation, is designed to do. If you're interested, here's a link with either more information about it. Now, I have bigger group programs. If I was doing one-on-one coaching, I'd be like, here's the information about my coaching. Sign up for a consult here. The second email would say, hey, I hope that it's like, I know that creating a social media strategy is one of the things that takes people the longest. But I also see that people, once you are posting, sometimes people struggle with posting consistently because they aren't sure what their offer really is. They don't have a way to create connections with people. And that's actually what's stopping people from creating a consult. So if you feel like you're struggling with these other problems that you could have in your business, I would love to support you in my program called Five Figure Foundation, where you learn how to sign your first or next client and make 10K in 90 days. The way this program works is that you get 12 months of coaching, live calls, discussion stream, and portal modules to help set you up for success, not just to make your first 10K, but to make your next 10K simple, easy, and doable. If you're interested, make sure you sign up here. Or again, if I was doing one-on-one coaching, I would say sign up for a consult here. Then the third email would be like, if you want to know how fast you get result, it's like content is just the beginning. Y'all was able to sign 4 clients within her first month in the program because she followed the 4 simple steps that are in Five Figure Foundation. Y'all is one of my clients. She was struggling with depression and breast cancer last year. She came back and was ready to restart her business, but wasn't sure where she wanted to start. She began posting consistently, but then we also created a strategy for her to do outreach. She started going to networking events and reaching back out to old clients for referrals. And when she used the Five Figure Foundation strategy and formula, she was able to sign 4 clients literally within her first month in the program. She actually made her money back within her first 48 hours. If that sounds like it's for you, I would love for you to join Five Figure Foundation. It's $1,500 for the year, or you can break it into $167 payment plans. Here's the information about joining. Would love to have you in there. Sign up here. So that's what you want to do is you want to have the 3 email sequence set up and ready to go. Then, the last but not least part about creating a course is you want to sell it and test it. Now, if you know my stance, again, disclaimer, said it at the beginning, you want to make sure that you're posting about your consults. However, if you are at the fully booked stage and you want to bring in more people, maybe get yourself set up for a group program, have this as a part of the things that people are going to be signing up for. What you want to do is then you want to test this course to see if it's something that people are actually interested in. So you want to go through and you want to actually say, hey, here's my course, here's what's going on. And we want to be able to say, these are the kind of things that you're going to get when you sign up. Um, you want to test it in your social media marketing and in your email list marketing. You want to see if this is going to be like something that you can utilize as part of your client funnel for more people to come in. So this is the only time when I would recommend that you do, and within the mastermind, I typically talk about doing a monthly sales event. This would be something that you could exchange instead of doing a webinar, and you test it with your audience. Now remember, we only have 52 weeks in the year. So I wouldn't recommend doing like testing your course for like 6 months. I would for sure keep it to a month or 2 weeks to make sure that you're not cannibalizing the big paid offer, of course. But you want to make sure that you have a time when you test it and you want to be able to test it validly. So you want to be like, okay, my best guess is that if I do this mini course, this is something I also do in the six-figure scaling mastermind, is I have people go through and they say, okay, it's called the backwards design process. It was something we used in teaching, but they would go through and say, okay, I want to sign this many clients from this monthly sales event, which in this case would be a mini course. So it'd be like, if I want to sign 3 clients this month, I know I have a conversion rate of 50%. So I'm going to need to get 6 consults to sign 3 clients on average, right? So in order to do that, my best guess for this course is I'm probably going to need to get at least 20 people to sign up for this course in order to get 6 consults. And this is where we trial and evaluate. You make it very, very no data, just no drama, just data. So then you say, okay, my best guess is to get 20 people to sign up for this course. I'm going to need to post X amount of times over the 2-week time period that I'm testing this. I'm also going to need to go and get this. I'm going to need to DM this many people. So let's say I'm going to need to do 6 posts about this. I'm going to need to DM 100 people, which would break out over a 2-week time period. 100 divided by 5, 10 people a day for 2 weeks. So I'm going to message 10 people a day for 2 weeks. And my best guess is if I message 100 people, do 6 posts, that I will get 20 people to sign up for this mini course. I will get 6 consultations from the 20 people that sign up for the mini course. And then I will get 3 clients from those 6 consultations. So we set up a test and we say, okay, this is my best guess to sign these people. And then we see if you're correct. So then you evaluate and you say, okay, after the 2-week period, did I bring in 3 consults? Did I bring in 0 consults? Okay, if that's the case, we probably need to change the mini course and we need to do something else. If nobody's signing up for it, we probably need to swap it out and switch it around. So that is what we want to be doing, is you want to be testing things with the validity that it takes to make sure that people actually get the results that they want. I hope that I know this is a very in-depth podcast about making a mini course, but I know this is something that has been on many people's minds. A lot of my clients, especially in the mastermind, have been asking me about it. So I just want to come on and do a quick podcast. And of course, if you want to see how I do my mini course, download Content to Consults, download the freebie about making a mini course using the show notes. And I hope you guys have an awesome time creating your courses and getting people to sign up as time goes on.
Did you know that 89% of people need to see a testimonial in order to buy? Get my free testimonial template using the link in the show notes, and you'll see exactly how I used testimonials to market my business as it grew to 120K in my first year full-time and multiple 6 figures every year after that. Thank you so much again for listening, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Solopreneur Academy Podcast.